Okay, everybody's saying I froze up. So as soon as my people start coming on, uh, okay, hold on. Join. Hold on. Hey, what's up, Mike? Yeah, man, I'm sorry about
That's
that, Pastor.
okay. That's okay. That's okay.
You muted?
Huh? Huh?
Huh?
Hold up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. You unmuted. You unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Man.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me bring a few people in right quick.
Okay, take your time. Yeah, I'm gonna bring some more in too. Yeah. Got one of my pastor friends that did time with me, Michael Carruthers, man. He was a mentor to me too. He's in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's from Mississippi, but he's been living in Milwaukee the last 25 or 30 years.
Okay.
I call him my pastor bank robber. He was in the feds with me for bank robbery. When I say bring the word,
Uh-huh.
ooh, he gonna listen. You don't know Michael Carruthers. What's up, Pastor Bank Robber? Former bank robber, soul saver. His name Michael Carruthers. Really good dude, man. He just taught me a lot, about the word, about being uh obedient, to the word, no matter where you are
Right.
and what situation we're in. We're gonna give people because mine's back up uh
Mm.
to almost the same amount. We had quite a few. I had quite a few people on there.
Right.
They'll,
Right.
they'll come
Right.
back, they'll check, they'll find it. But I just yeah. What I'm gonna do next time, I'm gonna turn my thing. I think when I got a phone call, it switch over. And it
Mm.
takes a second, you know what I mean? It mutes it for a second. So I
Right.
said, yeah. But man, it's it's been beautiful, man. We'll be able to take it and show it back to a lot of people.
That's right. That's
Get
right.
people. But
That's
yeah, man, it's just there's some gruesome things that happen in prison. I don't think people realize. I really want to tell the story when I became uh, chaplain to go back in from a free side after walking that many days on the inside to go back in as a free man as an employee, even though the Fed's different from the state, it's still pretty much does some of the same things.
right.
I appreciate it, Mr. Horton. How you doing? Yeah, yeah. We apologize for the technical difficulties, and next time we'll be live, hopefully sitting in a forum in Mount Bayou with a gym full of people
Right.
in YouTube. Yeah, and so yeah, but Pastor, we call him Suge, but it's Michael Carruthers, man. When I say bring the word, he brings the word. So he just got a heart transplant. Just to show you how good God is. He got a heart transplant in Milwaukee probably a few years ago. And so he's doing good. You know what I mean? So
Right.
still, yeah, stay on the medicine.
Oh.
But just one of the things, though, I taught him how to do time, and he taught me how to be obedient.
Right.
And some people will say, well, how can you be over a car but still be how I serve Christ is my personal business.
That's right.
As long as I'm living within the guidelines of what he requires of me according to the scripture.
That's right.
However, though I had to conform to my surrounding and situation, because you have to, in order to survive, you have to conform to those situations. If not, you're going to be eaten alive.
Right.
People don't want a lot of things. Another thing people don't want to talk about, like these young kids. I was trying to tell the kids, there are a lot. It's not bad in the state of Mississippi, but in the feds, it's bad. There are a lot of guys who come in young, and some of these older convicts who've been down 10, 20, 30 years. How you doing, Joanne? They're gang attacking and raping some of these youngsters when they find out that they're alone. They
Right.
find he's a sheep by himself. That they're being, this. I try not to sugarcoat this, and I want the people to know. I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything. I'm just telling you what I've seen. I'm telling you what goes on.
Right.
I stopped a lot of young men from being sodomized and raped in the penitentiary. And one thing, what the guys used to tell me, you can't save them all. You can't save them all. I said, well, I'm gonna just do the best I can.
That's right.
When I can. And you become numb to the violence. You become numb to the corruption. You become numb to the drugs, because people are trying to cope, and sometimes drugs help them to escape the reality of being incarcerated. So some people, that's the only way that their mind can function. They have to try to find a way, Pastor, to escape the reality of being incarcerated.
Right.
But yeah, but it's back on you. I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
So this very informative. Let me ask you a question. What's your message to those currently committing crimes and thinking won't catch up with them and thinking they won't get caught? What is your message to those that's currently right now in a life of crime?
You're going to there's two places for you: the penitentiary or the cemetery. I got a whole stack of obituaries, man, of guys that got out and said they were going to do right. So a lot of their families mailed me back. When I mentor a guy inside, I try to stay on top of him when he go home and stay in contact with him so I can remind him that it's crucial that you say you're going to do what you're going to do, or you're going to fall back into that same old trap. It would have been easier for me to do the same thing when I got out than it would be for me to do right. But I had learned that though doing right wasn't easy, it was the safe choice, it was the best choice, but it was a godly choice. It's easy. Satan going to be standing there hand and foot waiting to give you something to get you off track.
Right. But look, that in the words of my dad, you said it. You said it the educational way. You said would be in penitentiary or the cemetery. My dad says only two places for you: jail or hell.
Jail or hell.
Jail or hell. I mean, the two places for you:
And
jail.
sometimes you can be in jail working your way to hell.
Right. That's your passageway to hell. That's right.
Yes,
So
sir.
it never the moral of the story doesn't end. The streets undefeated. The
The
streets are
system.
undefeated. The
Yeah,
system.
the system is undefeated, man.
That's it.
Because
That's it.
because if they don't catch you, the only way they don't catch you is that you die before they get you.
But they coming for you. They coming for you.
Bad
They know about it.
boy, what you gonna do?
What you
They
gonna
know about that. And when they get you, if the feds get you, they got you.
over
You
with?
know, it's over with. Because the words is that the feds can indict a ham sandwich. Yeah, that's what they tell you inside. Because
Yeah.
you know why? Because they offer so many deals, they're going to take guys that's been in jail 10 or 12 years and tell them, hey, man, we're going to cut your time in half if you come back and tell
And
on
they
him.
gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
A guy who I thought was my friend from Drew came back from jail and told on me. That's him
Right.
right there.
So
That's what they're going to do. They're going to point
so
across the room.
so the thing is, I was watching a documentary, and the guy say, if you ever want to see a man do a magic trick, when they get on the stand, they turn to a snake. You know what I'm saying? If you ever want to see a magic trick, let you and your co-conspirators get in trouble. They're gonna get on that witness stand and they're gonna turn into a snake. They turn from a human being to a snake. He said they go to pointing their finger. They go to pointing. They here.
That's them right there, Your Honor.
That's it. That's it. All right, let's get ready to close it out. So let me ask you this question. How can a community help prevent others from going down the same road? I think you hit on a little bit earlier. You was like that one-on-one relationship with them, you know, that giving them activities. But is there anything else you could think about what the community can do? You told us about informing them, giving, you know, they get in trouble, give them something informative to do, like go show them a Black History program or something like that. Instead of incarceration, give them information, or instead of incarceration, give them communication. Instead of incarceration, give them a relation. So you told us that. Is there anything differently that we do? Because, you know, when we was growing up, you know, they had that scared straight. Is that effective now?
They don't even do it now. Right. They don't even do it. I think that it would be semi-effective even if it saves even if it saves 10% of the people that you take in. It's effective because you essentially saved a life. Right. I don't think people are aware of the consequences, man. Another thing we got to do too is for the guys who are inside, man. If you're inside, stop glorifying prison from the cell phone in prison, because they think it's cool when they see prison videos and guys making pizza in prison, or guys.
Is that true? I mean, can they do that in prison?
What, man? We fried chicken. I fried chicken.
I mean, it's a crazy question, but how?
In a garbage can with a stinger, and bread it up and fried up. You're thinking I put any soul food restaurant out of business. Period. I seen just as much cocaine cooked in the microwave in prison as I did on the street.
Right.
So it's not about rehabilitation. So it's just, but you know, guys are getting on there. They're showing you where they're making pizza, where they're showing you they got whiskey stills. You know, you got a lot of intelligent people in prison. If it can be done, you got guys making. I mean, I made candy apples and peanut bro. I made candy apple and peanut bro. I would make me 60 apples a day. Candy apples, wrap them up, mash the peanuts up, and wrap them up. Look just like they was in the factory. Caramel candy apple, caramel popcorn balls.
Right.
I made dinners. I fried chicken tenders in the microwave. Man, I'm telling you, when I say calzone, different meal, fried burritos.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm telling you, but you know, but you got guys glorifying it, so the youngsters think that it's gonna be cool to go in and be. You know. I'm gonna tell you something. I want to make this real short. Okay. So going back in as a chaplain, I used to try to tell the youngsters, you know, once they found out I had did, you know, like over 2 decades in prison, you know, they would ask me like, you know, different little questions. So I used to get on the older heads. You know what I learned about, like, especially in the MDOC, but you got guys who are gang leaders to own the street. They wouldn't get no money. They're in jail for burglary.
Right.
They're in jail for rape.
Right.
They're in jail for committing a crime, but you're telling other youngsters, you're giving him a knife or giving him some drugs to sell, and y'all jumping him and punishing him inside. So for the sake of survival, I understand we get together for the sake of survival, but I've never been affiliated.
Okay.
You understand? Right. I've never been a follower.
Okay.
Now, I always knew that, like being the spokesperson for my car, like when I went and talked to the adversary, I went by myself. Dudes, you said, no, we don't do it like that. No. Because if I go to them with a group of people, then I'm responsible for everybody that's behind me that might say something behind me that causes a war. I know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to do. If they hurt me, then y'all do what y'all supposed to do.
Right.
You understand? But when I'm going to talk to the Mexicans who already don't understand us and they fear us, but they're some of the most dangerous gangs that are in federal prison. You understand? So when I used to go talk to them when they had a problem with one of us or whatever, I went talk to them by myself. You know, so when I went talk to them by myself, I've already neutralized the point to where they said either he crazy or he's right or he's a fair man.
Right.
You
Right.
understand? So I go talk to him and I asked to speak and I would sit down and walk the track with whoever was over that car.
Mm.
I've neutralized it because I'm gonna show you a guy from he had an organization called the Texas Family. When he went to he took a couple of people to talk to the Pisons or the Serranos, and when he took one of the guys and when they were talking, this guy had 2 weeks to go home. He slapped the shot caller of the Serranos, and we started a war on the yard. This was in Beaumont in 2003, and we fought from 5 in the evening to about 11 at night. You never see you'd be surprised at what people can make a knife or a shank out of, or a weapon out of.
I want to go back to that, and then we're going to close out because we don't want to hold them too long. But I want you to you said 2 or 3 times a knife, a knife, a knife, a knife. Is the knife to cut chicken? Is the knife to cook food? I've heard you say 2 or 3 times a knife, and I know that in my house we got sharp knives, long knives. So I want to know if the knives to cut chicken or cook with, what the knife is for.
The knife is for to kill your adversary, to kill your the guy that you see that you got a problem with. Uh, I done seen them short, I done seen them long, I done seen them two-sided. So you got to realize when I'm in my cell at night, you can hear at night. It's like an orchestra. You can hear, shh, shh. You know how when you rub a file against the hole when you sharpen to go to the cotton field. So me
Yeah,
growing up in the country, I done heard it. That's all you hear all night.
sharpen knives. They sharpen the knife.
Shh, shh, tink, 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 bending it, beating it down and shaping it. Shh, 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 shh. Everybody, all it's just like a music all throughout the penitentiary in the pen.
Will they stab you?
Will they stab you?
Yeah.
You just heard me tell them they cut a man's head off, huh? Or they stuck a man in the eye and put his eye out. And sometimes I done seen a guy on the concrete standing over a guy stabbing him, and the knife is knocking chip out of the concrete. It's going through his stomach, knocking chips out of the concrete. Do you hear me? You know how much force you got to take a knife to go through a man, go through him, and knocking chips out of the concrete.
My God.
Do you hear me? It look like somebody take 5-gallon buckets of blood and pour it onto the sidewalk, all over. You see a wave. Every time you see a wave, when the crowd wave or people go down, you see people laying down, and you got people picking them up, what they call the cleanup crew. You got guys that's in the ride, they just picking all the wounded up, taking them over and laying them in front of the hospital, taking them and laying them in front of the gym. You know what I mean? You don't know if he's alive or dead. You just getting him out of the way so won't nobody trip over. So you see knives swinging, you know. And so the thing is, when there's a race ride, when Hispanics are fighting black, it's just that. You're black. I don't care if you're from Mississippi, Alabama, Chicago, Texas, whatever. It's a race ride.
Right.
It's them against us.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's them against us. And so the thing is, I asked a youngster, and you can get ready. I was in Parchment. It was, I work with the juvenile. Mississippi has more juveniles incarcerated than any state in the United States. As small as
Mm.
we are per capita, we got more juveniles incarcerated than any other state.
Hmm.
And save for Miller versus Alabama, because you can't give a juvenile a life sentence, but they're giving them 45 years. So if you give a 17-year-old 45 years, you done gave him a life sentence, man. But
That's,
I asked a 15-year-old that was down here in Lincoln County. He had 30 years.
he was in
And I said,
prison.
man,
He was in prison.
he's in prison. He's in juvenile. When he turned 18, they're going to turn him over to the big prison.
15 years old.
15 years old. So it's probably about 38 to 40 of them down there right now. That's not counting one waiting to go to trial. These are the ones that's already been sentenced.
Right.
Got at least 20, 25 years or more.
Right.
But they're in juvenile. You can't put them in the adult prison until they turn 18.
Okay.
And if they do good, they'll let them stay until they're 19 if they don't get a write-up or anything. But I asked a 15-year-old. He had just got 30 years
Uh-huh.
for a drive-by shooting. And I said, well, what you gonna do with your time, man? So I tell him I always try to break it down to sections. I said, you got $86,400 that God give you every day. You got to pay your tithe with 10% of them. So you got to take 8,600 of them and pay your tithe. The rest of the time, you got to invest in you. You understand?
Right.
And so he said, man, he said, what? 30 years? He said, man, I'm 15. They ain't nothing but chump change. I'll be 45 when I get out. We talking about one. I said, he ain't never had a girlfriend. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
he don't know what waits on the other side, what the adults are. They
Mm.
waiting on him to come
Right.
over because it's gonna be like a tug of war. You
Right.
know, if you gonna have one game trying to pull him and another game trying to pull him. You're not gonna walk by yourself at 15 talking about I'm gonna be a neutral or I'm
Right.
gonna be what they call a peon or neutral.
Right.
In the Feds, there's no such thing as a neutral or peon. You're gonna be in somebody's car. If you're not in somebody's car, then you're gonna be walking around with pantyhose and lipstick on.
And that's for real.
And that's for real.
That's the naked truth. That's the truth.
That's the bare naked truth.
And it doesn't matter what they said or not. Is either you're going to be in the car or you're going to be on the streets.
Or you're gonna be on the street. They're gonna check.
Let's bring that. For those that don't understand, that's you're gonna have to connect and hook up with somebody there, or you're gonna be a loner. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's no such thing as a loner. You still gonna belong to somebody, whether you're gonna belong to a pimp. They got pimps in prison.
And that's the truth.
That's
And
the
that's the
truth.
real.
I got a homeboy. We got a homeboy. He's from Greenville, Mississippi. Matter of fact, I don't know if you were even born in '78. He robbed the bank in Mount Bayou, Marigold, and one in Greenville. But he went to prison with 10 years. His name George House.
Mm-hmm.
So this is who he was part of in prison. They got it's faded out now if they're in and still living. But it was the BGF, Black Gorilla Family. So you got Aryan Brotherhood, you got Dirty White Boys, you got 4 or 5 different brands of white groups. You got 10 or 12. We got Mexican Mafia, MS-13, Serranos, Tango Blast. And so this is something that this is education 101 when you first get there. Like who got the yard? Then you got the Mississippi card. The thing about us, we're not going to come together. We're going to be Mississippi, Alabama, whatever state you're from, all y'all got cards. Now we'll come together if another race get against us, but we're always in tour with each other.
Right.
You understand? Like when we're up north, like when I went up north to the penitentiary, we had the down south card. That's what Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia was together.
Okay.
It wasn't Louisiana because Louisiana had a pact with the DC boys. If you ever been on the yard, you can take 15 of them and put them on the yard, and you got problems because they gonna. When I say they're vicious, they stick together, blood in, blood out. You know what I mean?
Right.
15 of them will take on whatever.
Right.
Whoever, whatever. But long story short, there's no such thing as something. But George House killed 2 people. He went in with 10 years, did 10 years in the state, then he went to the feds. He went into the feds with 10 years. He ended up killing the guy at Marion. But he came to, the thing about him, he was, once the ranking member of your car come to the compound, then he assumes the role of driver. Right? Because of his rank and his rank and his reputation.
Right.
So when Mr. House came to Beaumont, he used to take me and used to play checkers. I knew him. I remember when he committed the crime. I had no idea he was still in prison, but he loved everybody. Us from the Mississippi Delta love people from the Mississippi Delta.
That's right.
So when he came to the yard, when he was sitting outside on the bench, I seen all the old heads was bringing him sacks of commissary. Right? Bring him commissary, whatever he need. And so, me, was taught to mind my own business, didn't really ask him no questions. So I used to walk and rotate on the track with him, and he was just kind of teaching me how to do time right. But he was watching, he was observing me the whole time. So we'll play checkers. If you ever want to learn something about a man, play him in a board game. Play him in a spade head up, play him in tongue head up. If he'll cheat you in one of them games, he'll cheat you in life. True story.
That's true, sir.
Or put him one-on-one in basketball. If he'll
Right.
cheat you in a board game, he'll cheat you in life.
Right.
So me and George used to do that until one day we were on the yard with about 60 or 70 our homeboy. He called a meeting, and when we called a meeting, You have to be there. It's no, I didn't come. You know, if you're in the car, you got to be there.
Mm.
You know,
Got to
so
come.
yeah, or it's consequences.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't no I was doing this and I was doing that. No, because this was time to meet there. This was time you got to be there. And so he makes a statement, man, I'm passing the keys, and I'm passing the keys and put his hand on my shoulder. So I'm looking, I can't say nothing
Right.
out of respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And so when everything was over, I asked him, you know, I said, man, why you do that? He said, well, he said, I've been watching you and you got a level head. He said, you for the people, you're not for yourself. I said, yeah, but he said, man, I said, I don't know. He said, I got you. He said, I'm gonna be your security for while you're here, and you know, you're gonna do all right. But he told me this. He said, man, he said, you take every class you can, and don't be like me. I came in here with 10 years I was supposed to bring on, and I got a life sentence now. He said, you take your classes and you try to work your way down to the camp so you can go home.
Right.
But in the meantime, this your responsibility. Your responsibility is this car. You understand?
Right.
And so he had so much respect to where, but he liked it. He, you know, boys, and he would have him two or three, but they were killers. Make no
Mm.
mistake, he's still a man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And when he walked, they would walk, and they would have their knives taped to their wrists in case he had any problem. One on one side, one on the other side, and the police never shook him down because of his reputation, and they know he had to protect himself.
Yeah.
You don't understand what I'm saying? And so when you get a chance, Google Silver. Him and Silver walked the track for like 2 hours, and they had all the guard around. They let him walk the track because they had ended up killing one of the BGFs, and it was Cadillac. They killed in Marion, and he had killed one of the AWBs in Marion. So they had to walk the track and figure it out so they could be on the yard together because there wasn't nowhere else for them to go.
Right.
You
Right.
understand?
Bob.
And so when I tried to walk up to him, he held his hand like, stop, because he had a couple of knives on him, and everybody on the sideline, all the different cars, the BGF and everybody, they had knives on the
Right.
other side, you know, but they had to walk and come to, if they don't shake hands at the end, we go to war in the middle of the yard.
I
You know what
see.
I mean? And
Right.
long story short, I said that to say, you're not going to be by yourself in the penitentiary.
Right.
You know, either you're going to become a gang member, or you're going to become somebody's boy toy. You know, that you're going to be, you know, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and, you know, they're going to have a knife at your throat or whatever. Man, it just, and it's bad, you know. So I had enough say so with to a lot of youngsters, man, at Beaumont Medium that I would take and say, hey, man, come on, man. You know, don't, you know, and guys, you tell, man, you can't save them all, man. You can't save them all. You know, but we were responsible for governing our own people. But this youngster told me that what they gave him was chump change. He told me that the 30 years they gave him was chump change.
Not knowing what the hell that he's about to go through.
When he go across the other side, it's gonna be somebody trying to convert him and make him clean up his cell and wash his drawers or whatever, or he gonna have to fight. He gonna have to fight until he prove himself. So he gonna go through a couple of years of fighting unless he get in the car with somebody that's gonna take him and give him some. He gonna have to hold their dope or do whatever, hold their knives or you know what I mean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But well, it doesn't matter which way it goes, it's not going to be good.
It ain't gonna be good.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So and and people need to know that. And see, a lot of times people don't want to talk about incarceration until their child gets locked up. But in actuality, if somebody from Mount Bayou get up, he's the responsibility of all the pastors there. He's the responsibility of all the teachers there. He's responsible of everybody that was part of the system to let him down.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's right.
saying?
And
That's my
that's right.
responsibility.
And
Yeah.
that is our whole objective. I mean, the stories that you were telling, it making me cringe. You know, just to be able to not even to hear it. You know, like I said, we hearing it before you live it, but even just hearing it make me cringe. And it just to me would be absolutely unbelievable that a child will hear these stories. Thank by God's grace, you've come out for
Man,
23
listen.
years, but you thinking I'm not gonna get caught, or if I get caught, I can handle myself, or I'm a man and they're not gonna do this and they're not gonna be that, do that. But just hearing these stories makes my blood cringe.
There's some people on here that know me from the inside. You see them, they
Yeah,
call me Silk or
yeah,
whatever, you know, and it's not saying nothing. Like I knew God kept me, but I was blessed to be somebody. God
yeah.
made me somebody before I went to the penitentiary, so I was able to maintain it and be somebody while I was in the penitentiary. But I never used my position of power for wrong or to manipulate somebody. You know what I mean? And so I
Right.
was always about, if once I took over the car, if you came in, you didn't have your GED, it was mandatory that you got your GED. You know what
They got
I
to get it.
mean?
They got to get it.
No question. You're gonna have to enroll trying to get it, or you're gonna get it.
But
You know.
what about the ones that say I'm not gonna do it? There
Oh,
will
he
there be
can't tell me.
consequences?
Yes, you're gonna get on the bus and we're gonna ride out. We might rough him up and send him on to the next stop.
Right. Right.
And so,
I mean,
and then we're gonna call ahead to let him know he's coming. If he don't get his GED, then he need to send him back up top and ship him on down the line.
right.
You know,
Right.
and
Because
so
basically what I'm hearing is there are some good people there that's trying to get you on this on the right path
there are a lot
to
of good
prevent
people.
you from coming back here
Yeah,
and to make
but
something out of you so that when you get back you'll have something that you need to keep you from coming back.
yes, sir. There's a lot of them in there that's teaching classes. You got guys that done wrote books while incarcerated. You know what I mean? You got a couple on here, man. You got Roland Harvey. He came out, started his own truck company.
Okay.
We were in the same unit. You got here Adam Mackey. He worked at the library, um, teaching classes. You know what I mean? He
Okay.
worked and he's out doing good. So a lot of guys are out doing good, but there's a lot of guys that came out thinking. A lot of guys go into prison thinking that they're going to be better prisoners, thinking that they're going to meet their connect. What they're
Okay.
doing, so what the Colombians are doing and the Mexicans are doing, they're making you a pawn that they can use to get one of their homeboys out of jail.
Ah, see.
They're going to set you up. They're going to give you. I got a friend right now who's from Jackson. The Colombian was fronting him some cocaine from prison, sending him keys down here to his brother. Had him to come up there, but they was working to get another Colombian out of jail who had a life sentence. They was working to get a Rule 35 for him to get a time reduction while he's in prison. So they're setting up one of us. They can
Right.
tell on us, but they can't tell on one of their own people. But
Right.
they can tell on us.
That's right.
You know,
That's
so
right.
any race can tell on us. There's no consequences, white or Hispanic.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They
Right.
don't discriminate. But if you tell on another white, he can't walk the yard. If you're a rat in prison, you can't go to the penitentiary because they're gonna kill you.
And that's
They're
for
going
real.
they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you. It ain't no, you're going to get stabbed up if you survive. They're going to try to kill you. Let me put it like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but their ultimate goal is, to make you, to unalive you. The new term they use.
Unlike right, right.
Yeah, that's their goal.
And so
So
So before I give you the close and final words, I want to speak to your audience, those who have been incarcerated. Feel free to inbox me, Rickey Scott Sr. Feel free to inbox me because I would love to hear your story. We would love to tell your story. Eventually, we're going to do a town hall forum, like Maurice said in Mount Bayou, where I feel these stories need to be told. We don't want to sugarcoat it. We want that young man that's 15, 14, 13. It's easy to be tough when you come home to mama every night. But what happens when you're in those dog halls? What happens when you're in that strap heat? What happens when you're in that valley of barbarians? The thing is that a lot of times reality don't need to sit once you get there. You need to face reality before you get there. Just like the young man that Maurice just was talking about, 15 years old with 30 years, you don't have an idea. Let me ask you this, Maurice. Time, does it move fast or slow?
man, that's a good question because everything seems now that I'm free, it seems like a blur. But inside, it's like you can hear every tick on the clock,
I thought so.
especially, what I'm talking about, it's a loud tick, 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 tick. And when you're on lockdown, it's like, if you're on lockdown for a week, it seems like you've been held in a closet for a month
I can imagine.
because you can't walk, you have no sense of time. The only thing that helps you regulate time is when they open the doors in the morning for breakfast trade You know, from okay, it's breakfast. I got eggs on here. Oh, I got some toast on
Right.
here. Okay, it's lunch. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so you don't know Saturday. I don't know Monday from Sunday or Saturday from Wednesday.
You don't know it. You
I
don't know
don't,
what day it is.
you know, unless you got a calendar and you're keeping it inside, or you got your radio and you're listening to like your regular talk show during the week. But if
Right.
you know, like some places, but then when the batteries run out and you can't make store when you're in the shoe, if you haven't bought for guys who don't have a radio, he don't know what day it is. You know, and even though you're on lockdown, you still got to get up from. You can't be under the cover when it's count time. You got to get up and stand up for count time.
Still got to
So
get up,
you
even
still got
though
to get up and stand up for count
so
time, even though
that's
you're
Trump.
on lockdown. It's trauma on top of trauma. That's trauma on top of trauma.
We got to continue this, man. We got to continue this because there are some more questions that we probably continue with you next week, Ms. Maurice. But let me ask you about your final thoughts. How can people connect with you, and what have you done since you left prison that would help educate our youth, or just anyone who's going down the wrong path? How, if someone want to connect with you, what would they have to do?
Well, they can, you know, my numbers. You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can inbox me on Facebook. You can reach me on Instagram. It's called TOO underscore the number two black sippy at two black sippy. I'm on Instagram as Maurice Clifton 6. But you know, more importantly, man, you know, you can inbox me and I'll send you my phone number.
Right,
You know, I go to Washington D.C. and I lobby for different bills. I didn't know we had the problem in Mississippi that we had until I came home and you did when I met you at the event that you had.
right,
You know, even though I knew you when you was a youngster, but seeing you as an adult and a pastor and then doing stuff for the community, I didn't know, me growing up in Mississippi, living right at the back door of Parchment, I didn't know we had the problem in
yes, sir.
Mississippi that we had until I attended that forum. I never
Right,
knew that we had the problem in Mississippi, so I wanted to go back inside and work so I could change the hearts and mind of men.
right,
And I actually knew in 29 where the ride started and all the killing was, because I figured if they could see me change, then you know maybe it'll give them the motivation. I would be like a light tower,
right,
you know. They would want to change, but you know you can reach out to me there. I go to DC and I lobby for bills. I go to Jackson down here all the time and talk to the different congressmen, try to lobby for bills to change the conditions here in Mississippi and Parchment. I still advocate for people who are incarcerated in the federal system. I got everybody come home but one. I got one that come home April 16th, who was Durham McWayne. He and I sold cocaine in Mississippi. He's a pastor now. So he's coming home April 16th. I got one more, Marcus Boyd. He's from Memphis, a good brother I met. His family's from Tunica. His auntie is Martha Boyd, the one that did the sugar ditch in Tunica.
right,
Yeah,
right, right, right.
yeah. So he's preaching the word up there. So he's the only one. He got a life sentence. So we're trying to get him home right now, hopefully. So we're doing everything we can. That's the last guy. Everybody else I've campaigned for, you know, is home
Oh,
now. So I go different places, man. I go different places speaking. I spoke at Mark Luttrell uh, prison in Tennessee. So I've been to Charlotte to speak. I've been to Atlanta. I go to St. Louis, and I'm here. If you want me to speak, man, inbox me, talk to Pastor Scott. You know, I'll come. You know, just if you get me there, I'll come and speak.
right.
You get me there back home. Yeah.
Once again, that's Maurice. Is it Maurice Clifton Sr.?
Yes,
Is
sir.
it yeah, because the thing is that seriously, these conversations need to happen. They must happen, and I think we have dumbed it down and downplayed it. We too big trying to have the big aggressive names and the huge talk shows, but these informative sessions right here is what our young people need to hear. We're not here once again to scare. We're here to
Mm-mm.
educate, because this is reality. It is actually reality. I'm gonna share my story, and then I'm gonna give you the closing words. I never forget. I talk about it all the time. I was a chaplain out there at the Penal Farm here in Memphis, and so I go in and we had a room full of convicts incarcerated. It was full, and so I'm standing at front, and so they gave me like about 4 or 5, I guess, security guys that was from the but they were incarcerated, but they stood up front, I guess, to keep the people from running out there after me. And so there was a little kid come walking in, and I'm looking at the little kid. I'm like, is this somebody's You know, like, is this a guard's son? Who is this little kid? You know, that this is regular state, this is stateside, and this what got me involved in crime prevention. So the little kid came in, he sat down like in the middle, you know, and he sat in the middle. And so there was a gentleman that was up in front of me. He just pointed at the little kid. He didn't say a word. He didn't say one word to the kid. He just pointed to him and pointed on the front row. The kid got up and came to the front row. So after, once I was done preaching and all, the little kid asked him, I never knew his name. I called him little cutie because he was a nice looking little kid and how he was groomed up and what have you. So to make a long story short, the guy let him come up to talk to me. And so he was like, I need you to pray for me. And I was like, you know, I will. He said, and I want you to pray for him. He said, because on the streets, you know, when I was on the streets, you know, he was only 13 at the time. He said, when I was on the streets, I was bad enough to do everything that I wanted to do. But if I could send one message to any of my friends, I tell them, don't come here. He said, I was big and bad enough to do everything that I wanted to do. I didn't listen to my mama. I stayed in hotels. He said, I didn't go to school. I stayed in hotels. I drove cars. We had it all. But now I'm 13 and I got an aggravated assault charge. Now I'm here. But if it's one thing that I could tell any of my friends, don't come here. And that is the story that is we're trying to get out to these young people. Don't go there. Hear it before you live it. Because once you live it, it doesn't matter how many tears you cry. It's not going to send you home. It doesn't matter how many times you slam your head. It's not going to send you home. It doesn't matter how much you take an escape from reality. It's still not going to send you home. And we want you to hear it. Just hear these stories. Hear it. That's why I'm challenging all my Reese friends that have been arrested with them. We're gonna, you know, that have done time. We want to hear your story. We want to hear it. We want to hear it. You know, because it's gonna help somebody. And if your time that you spent and God's grace brought you home, your grace can help somebody else. Maurice, final words of encouragement or warning. It's on you.
Man, encouragement, man, for the people who are still incarcerated, man. Accept responsibility, man. And accepting responsibility for me was accepting Jesus and accept that I was the master of my destiny. And I was the one responsible for me being in prison. So many other people blame their mom, their dad, and everybody. Accept responsibility and change you. Until you accept and surrender, nothing is going to change for you. For those of you who think that you're getting away with everything, it's going to be that one time that you're going to go to prison and the doors are going to shut and they're not going to open. And you're going to feel the pain, the loneliness, and the despair of incarceration. And then you're going to wish, if you had one wish, you're going to pray and wish that you could hear a loved one that you might lose while you're incarcerated, or just even be free. That girlfriend you got, she going to leave you. That everybody. So many men cry every day and asking their mama and cussing them out. I need $20 because then, you know, guys extort guys in prison. I need $20 or they're going to kill me. I need $100 or they're going to kill me. So it's a vicious cycle, man. We have to change and we got to save our youngsters. There are no men in the street because all of them in the penitentiary. The few good ones that we have out here, we're trying to piece together a movement just to try to save them. So we got to piece it together, but with God's grace, man, we're going to bring it together, man. Pastor John Williams on here, he's a good brother, call him Gunline. He's from Benoit. He got a church out there in Grapeland. I go to his church, real good brother. He's a pastor now, got his own church. So inbox Pastor Scott, man, and tell him your story, man. I stamp it certified. You know, when SIP stamps it certified, it's official. You know, I have to be SIP now. You know, even though I'm a pastor now, I'm just letting you know, man, you can send it to him and talk to him, and we can all sit down and talk about it. No matter where you are, it's still our problem. Yeah, we'll come together and talk about it. Even if we have to get a bus and take this show on the roads.
That's it.
Tennessee, Alabama, Tennessee, but we got to start at home wherever we are.
That's it. That's,
you know what I mean?
That's it. And I want to close by saying this. Like I said, we see how that technology did. Next time we want to sit face to face. You know, it's just more relational and it's more touchy feeling. And the thing is, like I said, once again, Rickey Scott Sr. That's RICKEY SCOTT. Rickey Scott Sr. Inbox me. We want to hear. We want to hear. We want to get these young brothers sitting in front of us. If we could just save one, if we could just deter one, if we could just change the mind of one, we don't want no more mothers worried about their children in prison. We don't want no more mothers crying about their child that have been murdered. We don't want that. And the only way we can't be reactive, we can't talk about it once it's happened. It's too late. Let's inform and educate pre, not after. Let's pre-talk about it. We don't want to wait till it's too late. So that's it for tonight. I'm gonna get with Mr. Maurice. We're probably gonna do a continuation. We're gonna bring in probably another brother. We're gonna sit and probably be 3 or 4 of us next week, because we need this information out. Because if it doesn't get out, we don't want our brothers to say, "I didn't know."
I didn't know. Nobody told me.
Accountability would say, "I knew, I just didn't believe." But that's too late as well.
Yeah.
So we love you. We're gonna continue this on next Thursday. Hear it before you live it. Rickey Scott Show. You got Mr. Maurice. We thank God for you. We're gonna bring you back on next week, along with the brother, with one of your brothers. We'll discuss that, and we're gonna go farther and dig deeper into this, because we want our young brothers to understand. You're going to a jungle. That's a jungle over there. Barbarians. That's the barbarians, and when you go there, if you're not there, you may not. So what's up, Lil?
This is my restoration gift. Yeah. This is my first daughter. My first daughter. Say hey, Pastor Scott.
Hi, Pastor Scott.
What's up, young one? How you doing?
Nice.
All right.
Make sure y'all share and like the video, and you can subscribe if you want to see future videos. They're going to be Pastor Scott going to give them a YouTube team, but mine is Sail with Sipping on YouTube. You can subscribe to Sail with Sipping. Make sure you share this video, man, so we can get the word out to these youngsters.
And even if you're a teacher, school teacher, show it to your children. I'm sure to your students. They need to hear this, because it's the truth. We love you. Like I say, next week we'll see you again at 7 o'clock. Mr. Maurice, thank you so much.
All right, same time, same bad channel. I love you, Pastor Scott, man. I love you guys, everybody listening. Make sure y'all share. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for being patient with us through the technical difficulties.
That's awesome.
All right. Yes, sir. I got you. Yeah. Okay.